One of the blessings of my childhood was going to school and singing in the choir at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine in New York City. So a lot of the music that we're hearing today, very special, um, very special for me, because a lot of them are the exact arrangements that I sang when I was a soprano. And yeah, it was an Episcopalian church, so all of that music from the English tradition is a big part of my growing up, and I'm very grateful for that. Today we're going to be working with a dictation from Mother Mary, given in February of 1971, the title of which is "The Transformation of the Individual is the Key to the Salvation of a Planet." And so it seems it's been just over a year since I've been serving as a minister with you all, that my mission, again and again, no matter what I set out to do, is to talk about these subjects that are connected to that deeply personal inner transformation. Not personal in the sense of our story and our drama, but personal in the sense that it is unique to you. And no matter how universal the truths are and how universal the principles are, it is unique to all of us. And that the birth of the Christ is also this process whereby we all come into the fullness of our true role here in the world. And certainly here in the winter, when everything seems to slow down and there's less light during the day, and certainly during this time on this planet, when, boy, you sure don't have to look very far to see a planet in need of salvation, we're going to rejoice together that we've been given this perfect task of transforming ourselves, that what needs to be done is something we really can do. And not only can we do it, but there's this incredible payoff that we receive individually, even as we serve the world at large. And so I'm going to ask you to join me today, and we're going to read the whole dictation, and we're going to stop to unfold and go deeper into some of its points, but all the way through, we're going to take that reflective spirit of winter. I'm going to ask you to just join me in meditating on these words and in giving thanks for all of the things that they show us that we have received in our lives, and give thanks that this teaching and this divine gift is available to us. So Mother Mary begins. As the advent of love comes at times to every man who will open himself to the inward persuasions of his own soul, so I am convinced that all things will one day reflect the glory of God. So many have retained the image of my Son in those agonies of human persecution that are reminiscent of their own conflict in matter. These involvements with the Via Dolorosa, the sorrowful way, are a trap that prevents man from seeing and experiencing the glories inherent in the constructive life which was lived by our carpenter of Nazareth. Let it be known then that his was a building for eternity in the finite realm of thought and feeling. So today we let go of that sorrowful way. Today we rejoice in the glories inherent in the constructive life lived by Jesus the Christ, that Mary tells us we can not only see, but experience. And we've all experienced it. maybe just here and there, maybe just a little at a time. But today we're giving thanks for those glories, every aspect of that constructive life that we've seen and experienced. And today we think on of how in the midst of that persecution, he was constructive, he was loving, he reflected the glory of God. Again, her words, building for eternity in the finite realm of thought and feeling. So we rejoice today for every time we have been in the midst of the chaos and the sorrows of the world, but instead of struggling with it, we've turned to the inward persuasions of the soul and experienced the advent of love. When we do this, we reflect the glory of God. Everything we build can be for eternity if it is built on the foundation of right thought and feeling. Without this foundation, everything is just of the world. It's fleeting, it's temporary. So there are times when I don't feel good or my thoughts are full of trouble and I can't figure out what's wrong or what to do. Am I tired? Do I need something to eat? Should I take this or that action to try to fix this trouble, or should I work on this project or that one? It doesn't work so great. But I turn inward to my soul, quiet my human thoughts so I can hear the persuasions of the soul. And I open myself to the advent of love. And I find that none of these questions are really right. But what I'm trying to do when I'm in that place is I'm trying to build something without first laying that foundation. So with the right foundation of thought and feeling, I can move towards success on any number of things. That's building for eternity, building in a way that benefits your soul, regardless of the outcome. Without that foundation, everything wobbles and tilts. It's subject to the entropy of the finite world. Here it continues. What a tragedy it is that men are so easily diverted by outer media from the true course of their appointed thoughts. How much to be desired, then, is the mastery of one's own thoughts and feelings, the mastery of the flow of energy through one's consciousness. So, if we're to build for eternity in the finite realm of thought and feeling, we need to know these two key concepts that are in this beautiful paragraph. First, that it's easy to be diverted from the true course of our appointed thoughts. Now, isn't that cool that your thoughts, which are appointed, have a true course? What is that? I would say they're the thoughts that are the most constructive, that get you going, that get you where you're going gracefully, with the minimum amount of drama and distraction, confusion. One of the modern terms that goes around now, mostly in relationship to people's work, but it's a piece of it, is that term, the flow state. That means a state where challenges are met steadily with calm and focus, where one step leads naturally to another. The process is smooth and fulfilling. Everything just comes together. So the second key here is that the mastery of thought and feeling is the mastery of the flow of energy through one's consciousness. The mastery of thought and feeling is the mastery of the flow of energy through one's consciousness. Now, when I think of thoughts and feelings, right, I tend to think of them as mine. My thoughts, my feelings, I think, I feel. So me, mine, mine. But when you compare that to the idea that thoughts and feelings are the flow of energy through one's consciousness, all of a sudden, it's a lot harder to say me and mine. That flow of energy doesn't belong to us. We are, however, responsible for it. So today we rejoice for the flow of energy through our consciousness. And we rejoice for every time we've experienced the true course of this energy. Every time we have, instead of choosing diversion, we've chosen for the mighty I am to take command and show us mastery. And it's interesting, the beginning of this paragraph, it says, what a tragedy it is that men are so easily diverted by outer media from the true course of their appointed thoughts. So this is something that seems to come up again and again these days. Compared to 1971, how much more diverted and distracted from the course of our true thoughts by media. Obviously there's a lot of discussion about that, particularly with the smartphone. One of the things that I recently did was I bought this Faraday bag, which is a fabric bag that's got metal fabric woven in it. And if you put an electronic device in it, it can't communicate with the outside world. It just breaks all electromagnetic signal. And part of the reason I did it is not because I'm a secret agent and I need to go dark, but is because I wanted to see what it was like to have some sort of physical action to say, okay, I am choosing not to have my thoughts diverted by outer media. Right? So I can do this physical thing. And then when I'm risking having my thoughts diverted in that way, I have to go tear open this heavy duty Velcro. And of course, physical things are like that can be very important, right? Because I know that also what I'm doing is I'm practicing engaging my free will, practicing making a choice. Because there is no other method of controlling the individual, either from within or without, I wish to stress to every son and daughter of heaven the tremendous joy and freedom that can be theirs as they perceive the import of governing their thoughts and feelings, their attitudes and comprehensions of the divine wonder. Today we rejoice for the tremendous joy and freedom that is given to us. Mary says it comes to us as we perceive the import of governing thoughts and feelings. So perceive the import, right? That means we increase our awareness to see what works and what doesn't. We learn that governing thoughts and feelings is important. We learn that the same way that we learn that a stove is hot or that a water is wet, from experience. It's not about being judged for your bad thoughts or rewarded for your good feelings. It's just about becoming wiser, more loving, more effective by learning to make better use of the energy that flows through your consciousness. And so today we're grateful that as we adopt this attitude and as we learn from this experience and as we perceive the import of doing this, we gain greater comprehensions of the divine wonder. All around you beauty exists, yet ugliness seems so often to preempt it. I would remove the crown of thorns that man has unwittingly placed upon his own head. But first I would ask that true reason be utilized in making those constructive changes that are necessary in order that man might secure his cosmic destiny right while in physical embodiment. Have you thought of what a beautiful gift God has given unto you in your life, even in the manifestation of your physical form, which is so often crucified by the harshness of everyday living? Precious ones, the ways of the world are a glaring reflection of man's lack of innocence. When guilelessness and innocence become a part of man's nature once again, he will effectively transform himself in the image of Christ, as was the will of God for him from the beginning. Then, in emulation of the masters of wisdom, man shall not only pursue and be pursued by the light of the great white brotherhood, but he shall also become a true follower of God in all his compassed wonder. So I remember when I first read this, I experienced this sort of cognitive dissonance because of the line, when guilelessness and innocence become part of man's nature once again. He will transform himself in the image of Christ. And the cognitive dissonance was because I could feel that that was true. I could feel that innocence was so important. And I could feel that sense of innocence in myself. But at the same time, I had always thought of innocence as something that couldn't be gained, right? Innocence was something that could only be lost. And then once it's lost, it's too late, it's gone. I didn't know that I thought that until I stopped to reflect on this. So how can innocence become part of man's nature again? Well, in meditating on this and processing it, I'll share with you that part of my experience in life of having my thoughts guided in particular is I will sometimes be guided along a wonderful course, but I'll be very dense about it while it's going on. I sort of won't realize what's happening until I'm in the midst of it. And so this week, one evening wanting to watch a movie, I just stumbled on a documentary called Won't You Be My Neighbor, about Fred Rogers of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And about 15 or 20 minutes into it, I'm realizing, oh, so this meditation on innocence, here's some valuable information about that. And so in this documentary, you see in the person of Fred Rogers, a man who really never lost those threads of innocence, never lost that child self. And he knew how to talk to children, right? And how to help children, because it's clear, it's just this perfect empathy, this just immediacy. He just knows what it's like to be a child. He just added to that consciousness an adult consciousness that wanted to teach and protect and guide. So if you are interested in exploring this subject of innocence, I really recommend it, because there's an aspect of it where a lot of the details aren't so important, but there's something in it that I think will talk directly to your soul and strengthen that part of you. One of the things that's really remarkable in it is that not only does he communicate with children in this innocent way, but also with adults. In some truly remarkable situations, there's a part of it where he testifies before the Senate. And there's the gentleman running the committee is not somebody that I looked at and immediately felt great confidence that he was going to treat Fred Rogers very well. And at the beginning, it doesn't seem so great, but it's not even what he says or that he makes some great point, but it is spoken with such a purity and such an innocence that he's victorious, and it's quite remarkable. So innocence is a way of being. It's a willingness to listen to the promptings of the soul, which is that part of us that has a childlike quality, and to accept that relationship with the soul on its own terms. Because to the soul, a simple story that gets to the point, that sets it on the right course, is more effective than a complex explanation. Right? There's that place of innocence, there's no self-importance or pride. There isn't any looking good or sounding clever. It strips things back. It's a way of transcendence, because you can't transcend this world with sophisticated worldly thoughts. There's so many places that are trying to do this, or trying to trick you to do it, or that just get involved with those sophisticated worldly thoughts, which are useful if you want to describe the world. It's not bad to understand the world, but it's a way of thinking and being that's inside this worldly game. To get outside of that game, we need to jump up to a different plane, where that's not the coin of the realm, as it were. So it's a key to engaging the divine self, to being in the world, but not being of it. And as we're exposed to those outer media that expose, that divert us from the true course of our thoughts, right? They also expose us to evil, to violence, all sorts of worldly stuff that we have to govern thought and feeling so that it doesn't get inside us in a way that we get stuck to it in a way, because that's the only way that we damage that sense of innocence. So today we rejoice for the place where true innocence lies, where it's just you and God and everything isn't real by comparison. We know that all of it will rise and fall in time and then pass away. And we're truly innocent because the part of us that sees or engages with any of these worldly things, that's also temporary. And knowing this, we're transformed in the image of Christ, and we're grateful for that. Why don't you know, beloved ones, the Most High can unerringly guide your thoughts and feelings just as easily as you can weave a simple garment for a child, using the dexterity of your fingers and the flexibility of your mind. With the God-given capacity that you have to direct your physical body and to organize your life, can you not also master the process of controlling your mind and your feelings? And if you do, I assure you that it will contribute much to the alleviation of the problems of the world in its maddened state. It will even counteract the unfortunate manifestations of witchcraft and black magic that are often practiced in the name of religion, but are used solely for the psychic domination and control of others. So today we rejoice that our personal victory is a victory in the larger world. And I say, as someone who has occasionally been overwhelmed by the complexity and the pervasiveness of the world's problems, that this is really good news. This is a relief. And it also reminds us that just as we don't own the flow of energy moving through our consciousness, that even this most personal process of self-mastery is ultimately part of something greater. It's not just about you. Right? And that innocent part of us knows that it's true. Right? What's that voice that tells you, oh, why are you wasting your time on that? You should be out challenging the government or whatever. That's that worldly voice. Innocent voice in you knows that this is true. And it's not about refusing to engage in the world. It's about building that right foundation that we spoke about at the beginning. Right? With that right foundation of thought and feeling, then when you respond to some calling to act in the world, it can be truly meaningful. You can be building for eternity. Now, sometimes we think of operating from that place of innocence as being vulnerable. And it's true, there is a vulnerability there. So it's interesting here that she mentions, that mastery, thought, and feeling will even counteract the unfortunate manifestations of witchcraft and black magic, right? And what do those refer to you? What do those tell us? Well, it tells us, right, something about the nature of that, like that black magic, essentially an external control of the flow of energy through your consciousness, creating a false reality that's dependent on attention, on you having specific thoughts and feelings. So one who governs their thoughts and feelings, right? One who takes these things to God for them to be shaped in God's image is actually protected by that process, even as that process is strengthening their sense of innocence, and that innocence in relationship with the divine. So innocence doesn't mean trusting everyone and everything. It means trusting God, trusting God's discernment. May I tell you that the one design that heaven desires to see outpictured on earth and in the hearts of men is that self-control by which every individual can win his own victory and the strength of his Christ-like mind. Therefore do I invoke for all the Christ-like mind and the Christ-like qualities which will affect the power of self-control that is the requirement of the hour. Whereas from time to time, men have misused the minds and feelings that God has given them. Those minds and feelings possess the very capacities of the Spirit which Jesus expressed and that he longed to see established in you all. Through obedience to the law of your inner being, you can affect those self-controls that will make your world brighter each day. And whereas there are some who will despise my message for its simplicity, others will see the need to pinpoint for future action the whole course of their conduct. This need for God control can be seen in young and old alike, from the little children in their innocent state to those wiser ones who in their maturity have so often lost the holy threads of innocence, which establish the aura of cosmic fortitude in men. So early on, she says, there are some who will despise my message for its simplicity, right? What part despises a message for its simplicity? It's not the innocent part. The innocent part loves the simplicity. So that gets to the very essence of this mindset, of this way of being. And she goes on, others will see the need to pinpoint for future action the whole course of their conduct. So pinpoint the whole course of their conduct. Again, that's about awareness. I think pinpointing the course of your conduct, another popular, a phrase that Jordan Peterson in his Rise to Stardom popularized was taking a fearless inventory of yourself. Really having an honest assessment of what's going on in your thoughts and feelings. And then you can ask, what brings freedom and joy? What increases that sense of innocence? What burdens us with suffering? It says, to pinpoint for future action the whole course of their conduct. So once you are honest about what's going on in your thoughts and feelings, well, you can make changes. You can take future action. This need for God control can be seen in the little children in their innocent state, she says, right? In that state, children know that they have to learn and grow. There's no shame in it. There's no pretense. They know that they have to master themselves so they can master things in the world. And the need for God control is seen in the wiser ones, who in their maturity have so often lost those holy threads of innocence, which establish the aura of cosmic fortitude in men. So now I understand that losing those threads, who have so often lost those holy threads of innocence, right? I think what we're talking about is losing them more like, you lost your wallet, right? It's something you misplaced, something you forgot somewhere along the line. But again, today we've been told we need innocence. Well, in this context, we could say why? Because she says that innocence, the threads of innocence, establish the aura of cosmic fortitude in men. I don't know about you, but I definitely want cosmic fortitude. That sounds awesome. Now, that's one of those things that, strikes my soul and I immediately know what it meant. But for the first time ever, I looked up the word fortitude. Strength of mind that allows one to endure pain or adversity with courage. There it is. It sounds like something the wiser ones, right, who in their more mature state would want. And so they have a need for God control, she says. And I think the need for that God control is to reestablish those holy threads of innocence which have been lost, so that that cosmic fortitude can be had. So discipline ourselves to listen to the soul's persuasion, to seek the true course of our thoughts, to notice when they're being diverted, and to allow them to return to their true course by the grace of God. When we do this, we can endure the world with courage. We can be that one who is in the world, that has that peace, that flow of love, fortitude. As long as you depend solely upon your human strength and not upon the power of the Christ, it is easy to see, surrounded as you are by the mosaics of mortal thought, how you can become the victim of those thought pockets of human degradation. The elimination of the idea that you cannot take command of your lives is the important first step that must be taken before you can begin to weave those spiritual garments of self-mastery we long to see you wear. So today, we rejoice for every time we've taken command of our lives. We've all done it. So how do we eliminate the idea that we cannot take command of our lives? By taking command. It's just that usually it's not a one and done sort of thing, right? It's step by step. Series of small steps that we repeat in an ongoing fashion. I think this is the weaving of that spiritual garment. Now, what does it mean to depend on human strength instead of the power of the Christ? Well, it's the unique station of the Christ to be in the world in the midst of these mosaics of mortal thought, while innocently engaging with the God self, calling on the higher consciousness that transcends the world. Right? So taking command doesn't mean engaging in human struggle with the things in the finite realm. But one way to really take command is to say, mighty I am presence, take command. So when you take command of your life, it's you, but it's not you. So today we rejoice for the power of the Christ that lets us be amidst these energies without being victimized by them. Every moment we do this, we're holding open the door for one of our brothers and sisters to stop being victimized as well. And so we rejoice for every time brother or sister has shown us that door, and we're grateful for everyone that we've ever had the opportunity to. Many have thought that in the last days of my earthly sojourn I did not fulfill all my longings. Beloved ones, may I confess to you that even in the ascended state, we have not fulfilled all our longings, especially in connection with the earth and its evolutions. Do you know that out of the teeming millions of mankind, some of the prayers that rise to our level are literally heartrending, and particularly so when viewed in the light of the fact that heaven has already provided the answer which humanity will not open their hearts to receive? When we stress the importance of the dedication of the individual life to God, it means that we believe that the kingdom of heaven must first manifest within the individual before it can manifest in the world on a larger scale. Today we rejoice for those in the ascended state that care for us so much that they long to see us succeed. So Mary tells us that God can mold our thoughts and feelings easily, and that the masters long to see us evolve and succeed, that heaven has already provided the answer. We only have to open our hearts to receive it. So let us remember today how much is being given and how many times we have received. How much of this cosmic intention for your soul will you open your heart to receive? Trickle, a steady flow, great torrent. So the kingdom of heaven must first manifest within the individual before it can manifest in the world on a larger scale. Next, she explains to us how this is practical. It's not just some mystery of the spiritual realm, how this works. She says, so long as men wait upon the world for the fulfillment of their desires, so long will they wait in the recalcitrance and hopelessness of those who do not understand that one is taken and another is left. The justice of God on earth must become the work of the individual. Those who crave social justice are those who would build worldly fences of unenforceable law and order. They do not realize that the establishment of law and order comes about as men claim that holy sense of justice that burns behind the veil of the appearance world. One day they will learn that it is only in the realm within, in the inner thoughts and feelings, that transformation can occur, and that the transformation of the individual is the key to the salvation of a planet. So today, we rejoice every time we have noticed some fault in the world and taken it as a cue to transform ourselves. This goes back to that key point that the only way to build for eternity is to build on that right foundation. To see justice in the world, you must find that holy sense of justice that burns behind the appearance world. What is that? Meditate on it. Approach it with humility, with innocence. Anything you want to see in the world, right? You have to take it to that place and find out. Because you may find that some of the things that we want to change outside, when we take them to that place, we don't even understand what they are. Or more often than not, that there's some personal hurt, some axe to grind, right, that's driving the awareness of that fault. Doesn't mean that the thing out there is good. It just means you have to build the right foundation. Just came to my mind once again while reading this, another thing that Jordan Peterson got very famous for saying: get your own house in order before trying to fix the world, right? And from the standpoint of a psychologist, that's very practical advice. We might say it a slightly different way. Say you can't fix the world when you're stuck in the realm of human desire. That's where this part of the teaching starts, to say that, well, that with human desire, one is taken and another replaces it, basically. But for example, if you have a desire to not feel victimized anymore, or a human desire to rule over other human beings, well, these are desires that can't be fulfilled by changing the world. They just contribute to this ongoing cycle of inharmony and injustice. So from a very practical standpoint, transmute your own thoughts and feelings, set them on the right course appointed by the divine. Then your calling in the world can build something for eternity. Whatever undesirable qualities seem to have an inordinate hold upon your consciousness, possessing your whole being, occupying the very fiber of your mind, and denying you the peace and happiness of thinking those thoughts that you so long to think, realize that you are momentarily caught in the grips of a terrible force accumulation. In the past, we have also been confronted by such force fields of vicious psychic energies, and even in the ascended state, we have been required to meet the challenges of giant floating grids of astral debris. But as we have persevered and prevailed upon God to help us, our minds have immediately become calm and imbued with the power of holy reason and judgment. Wow, there's so much that's so evocative in this one. She starts off saying with this phrase, denying you the peace and happiness of thinking those thoughts you so long to think, right? Referring to those moments when trying to take command. You're trying to put the Christ self, the mighty I am, in charge, but those undesirable qualities just don't let go. Well, then later on, she goes on to say that even in the ascended state, we have been required to meet the challenges of giant floating grids of astral debris. Right? So she's saying that when you're in that state, you're affected by what she calls a terrible force accumulation, right? That some of these grids, these patches of thought and feeling, right, that have become things that can take possession temporarily of your consciousness. And so remarkable to think of the masters, being confronted with this thing you have to deal with, and that they persevere and prevail upon God to help. And then she says, and then our minds have immediately become calm and imbued with the power of holy reason and judgment. And I think that immediately is very important, because even for us, that intention to shift out of the realm that's controlled by those energies, to shift into the higher consciousness, whether we know it or not, that change is instantaneous. In other words, the difference between just being in it and struggling with it, and the difference to even have the idea the mighty I am will take control and that you will become calm and imbued with the power of holy reason and judgment. It's an instantaneous thing. It's just that here in time and space, it requires a little bit of patience, a little bit of cosmic fortitude, right? Because the physical and the emotional sometimes need a little bit of time to catch up. But that aura of cosmic fortitude, that will allow you to be peaceful while it turns around. Enable you to be confident while that change is in process. Learn not to be rash, to be overly critical, or to unfairly attribute to others those qualities that are in reality no part of the real self. Give to all the joy and peace which you yourself expect to receive, and watch how the energies of the universe will, in due course of time, like a steadily flowing river, rush into your world to assist you in the whole process of inward purification. Practicing kindness, giving peace and joy, that affirms the real self. And that's a step we take again and again in the establishment of a process whereby the energies of the universe flow in to assist you in inward purification. So today we rejoice for all of the joy and peace we have been given and all we have given to others. Just think of it, and you can feel those energies rushing in to assist you. You have chosen them, and they have chosen you. And you can see and feel these energies in their true state, unqualified by human error. For this, we are grateful. When I think of the long journey of Christendom and of the conflicts into which many have entered in the name of my Son, condemning as heathen those followers of God in other folds, I am reminded of his words, "Other sheep I have which are not of this fold. Them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold, one shepherd." In the name of holy reason, until men come to the place where they are able to see the body of God upon earth as one fold, even as they behold the one shepherd, give them their freedom to think as they will, and pray that they may establish in their consciousness that faith in the one God, which will make of the whole earth one family beneath the four winds of heaven. So today we rejoice that God really is in charge, and that we don't have to understand all the details of everyone's path home, including our own. We're not responsible for convincing anyone to see things the way we do. And when we approach God with that innocence, we can't pretend or imagine that we're some kind of expert. So we're grateful for the opportunity to share what we've learned with anyone that wants to hear it. And when others share their thoughts with us, we take it with that same humility and innocence. We take it to the divine source. We're not under any pressure to immediately approve or deny, to evaluate, to reject. We can entrust it to our higher self, to our master, to God. This is the way of the one fold and the one shepherd. So today we rejoice that there are so many roads, so many faiths, so many ways home. We pray for others not because we judge and know what's best for them, but so that they may establish in their consciousness that faith in the one God, which will make of the whole earth one family. And that prayer for others is our prayer for ourselves. All conflict must be resolved, all vileness cast away, and the tender beauty of the kingdom of heaven must become as flowers beneath men's feet, a high and holy way of joy in the transcendent culture of the ascended Master's consciousness. Then the little children can be trained up in the way they should go, and at long last the travail of the ages that has preceded the birth of the divine man-child will bring forth a golden age of enlightenment. And God will rule in the hearts of men because they love him and love one another. So today we rejoice for all of the conflicts that have been resolved. Can you remember someone who you were in conflict long ago, and now it can be difficult to even remember what you were so upset about? Be grateful for that conflict to have passed and send that person joy and peace. Walk the high and holy way of joy in the culture of the Ascended Master's consciousness. With friends from today, friends from long ago, and anyone you've been in conflict with over the years. This is the image of the Golden Age. Everyone making their own way along the path home at the right pace, with unique qualities and experiences, but all part of one universal unfolding. God ruling over the heart of each one. Each moment that the individual understands and enters into this consciousness, a new beginning occurs. Therefore, be ye followers of my Son, and of the invincible light that presages the eternally progressive age of the avatars. For in the beginning was the light of the Word, and the light was with God, and the light was God. And out of that light is born the flame that pushes back the darkness that never was and never shall be. The illusion of that darkness shall vanish, as the coming of the kingdom is heard in a rushing mighty wind, and the ground of the heart, like a thirsty ground, laps up the water of eternal life. Today we rejoice for each new beginning that we have been given and that each new day offers. We rejoice that the darkness never was and never shall be. We rejoice that illusion cannot remain and that it must vanish, and that the heart will absorb this water of life effortlessly, for it is offered freely and it is our true nature to receive it. This is the path of the eternally progressive age of the avatars. It's fine to celebrate a victory you had yesterday, as long as you're ready for a new beginning today. And it's not really even about yesterday and today. Mary tells us that each moment the individual enters into this consciousness, a new beginning occurs. So as the followers of the Christ and the invincible light, we're always at the ready to revise, to expand our understanding, to be free of the baggage of conceptions that may be days or years or only minutes old. It's a path of innocence and humility. We don't mind that. We're just here to be filled with the water of eternity. So Mary concludes here. It says, let men be spiritually fulfilled. Let their goals now be spiritual, even as in the past they have been material. Thus shall we bridge the gap of confusion and reveal at last the permanent foundation of the abundant life. So I want to add here as we close that our material goals, they're okay. There's no need to curse our human state and curse the world we're in. But let us have every day a new beginning where we further refine thought and emotion. Allow God to shape us. And in so doing, we may no longer find some of those material goals to be so attractive, to be so important. And the joy and freedom that comes with each small victory satisfies us more and more deeply. And we find that with each passing day, we have less human desire and more desire to build for eternity. And for that, we rejoice. Oh, beloved Mother Mary, thank you for this teaching. And thank you for your presence in our hearts and minds, showing us that true course and that true governance that is the coming of the Holy Spirit, the birth of the Golden Age. Accept this done according to your holy will, beloved Heavenly Father.